Hey guys, just a fair warning. Before going into the episode, the audio is very noisy. I'd like to warn you for that. I did not want to throw away this episode because I've done that too many times. I tried to fix the audio. I hope you can guys still enjoy the episode despite the audio problems, but here it is. Come on and slam! Welcome to the Kinocast. Today we're talking about three movies, Looney movies, made by the Warner Brothers. Space Jam, Looney Tunes Back in Action, Space Jam: A New Legacy.
They
These
made a
most
second
certainly
Space Jam
are
and we
these-
don't know why.
So let's just, I don't know, I don't have any movie news. Sure, there must be some stuff released, but whatever.
Overshadowed by this fucking mess.
So let's just dive right into Space Jam. I think it was 1996.
Yep.
Directed by Joe Pitka.
You have a better recollection than I do on that count.
Last great movie before Y2K, then everything changed.
God damn
It should be before or after 2000, it should be before and after Space Jam.
Is that the generational divide now? Instead of like dividing by birth year, it's
Now-
actually just Space Jam and Space Jam 2.
Now that I've seen it, yes, it explains every single difference between millennials and Gen Z.
I mean, you got a point, especially considering one Space Jam has Pepe Le Pew and the other one doesn't. That, has a lot to say about
our
how
society.
things have changed.
He doesn't even do anything bad in Space Jam, which proves that you can do Pepe Le Pew without him being gross.
Yeah, he
So,
just
why
literally
not
becomes
just-
like.
No, I think
stinky.
it was just
That's it.
voiced by Chris D'Elia.
No, Tig Notaro. She took over for him.
Alright, so let's just dive into this movie. That motherfucking opening song is just awesome.
Come on,
Oh
it's
my
Holy
God.
and welcome
shit.
to the jam. It does kind of bop.
Wait, I thought you were talking about "I Believe I Can Fly" at first, and I thought, yeah, when I heard that song for the first time in like 10 years,
When
I was
I
like,
heard
oh shit, yeah, R. Kelly.
So,
When
Okay,
I watched the movie, I turned it on and I heard "I Believe I Can Fly." I laughed out loud. I don't know why. It's just- what the hell?
I'm gonna let me double check this because
Mhm.
I'm pretty sure. I Believe I Can Fly. Yes, it was. It was made for Space Jam. I Believe I Can Fly is a song that was made by R. Kelly for the movie Space Jam.
I would have never in a million years guessed that.
It's like Kiss from a Rose.
Yeah.
It's a movie that was like, specifically made for a movie that where it does not fit.
Oh my god. Yeah, no, "I Believe I Can Fly" does not come across as a Space Jam song. That comes across as a song from like a movie where a dog dies or something. Like, it's
Oh, yeah,
not
bro.
Space Jam.
But the whole soundtrack of this movie is just like incredible. Like it's like, oh yeah, it's a movie about some cartoons playing some basketball, and suddenly everyone is on their A game, making the best album in the whole world.
For some reason, it's movies that are like just very not serious and don't necessarily need to have an Oscar-winning score by any means, and they just end up like getting the people who have the most fun on the project to do it, the score or the soundtrack or whatever. But then when it's like a movie that's supposed to be serious, they don't bring in the same people half the time.
They
Yeah.
purposely released Lord of the Rings in 2001 to 2003 because Howard Shore would be sweating bullets if he competed at the Oscars with the score for Space Jam.
A little bit. My friend has a very soft spot for Space Jam. So I watched it for the first time with him, who had watched it for like the fifth. And my friend still really liked Space Jam. I was not so positively inclined towards it, but it does have like a. It is charming.
It
Because
has
it's like
its charms, yeah.
yeah, because I mean, like watching Bill Murray in this movie,
Yes.
like instead of you know how so many things nowadays like take years off my life? That added a few years back. That felt good. That was a good feeling.
It was
Watching
great.
him just like come in at the very end, being like, "I am a professional basketball player," and he like throw me through. I thought
But
that was
I don't-
fucking awesome.
Wayne
That
Knight
was
kind of
great
took a few off.
callback. Yeah. Well, it was like, especially because there's a neat little sort of circuitous nature to his inclusion in the movie. He shows up in the beginning, and he's kind of wacky and a little bit funny, and it's almost like you're almost like watching a Caddyshack tribute of sorts. You're just seeing, Bill Murray on the greens. You're like, oh, hey, that's neat, and then you just think that's the end of it, and then he comes right back in the end, and just sort of, I don't know, it's the cherry on top of the cake.
It's like Superman returning in the Snyder Cut.
It's exactly like that. It's exactly like
So
that.
you imagine like Bill Murray dribbling on a parking lot, and his father's like, "Fly, son, slam for the tunes," and then he shoots, and it's like he truly believed he could fly.
Yeah. I love that part at the end when Michael's running up and he's about to make like his final amazing shot where his arm stretches like crazy. And like right before he jumps, Bill Murray's just like, "Pass to me, Michael, pass to me, I'm open. And it's like...
We gotta talk about the final score in that film, which completely undermines the whole game, or the whole point of this movie. It's like, oh, you can believe in yourself. Okay, fine, whatever. But no, you have to win a basketball match by being literal Stretch Armstrong.
Yeah, and like the people they're playing against are like basically just doping or taking like massive performance enhancers anyway, so it's from the beginning it's not really a good message.
The
It's
game
like,
was
hey,
rigged from the start.
Listen.
Yeah.
Cheating is okay. Let's just get it out there. Now we can enjoy the movie.
okay,
I think it's a great message because
That's
I've
cool,
cheated
that's
on
cool.
plenty of things. I've cheated on
My wife.
actually no, I'm not going to incriminate myself.
Well,
No,
boy,
not
Exam.
relationships. That's not okay. I'm just referring to important tests that you probably shouldn't.
Yeah, like driver's license.
That may or
and
may. Yeah,
bar
that may or may
exam.
not have money lying on it. Who knows? Maybe there's a quiz night where you have a split second of Google the answers, and maybe you use that a little bit for an extra $200. Anyway,
Alright, one thing this film has an advantage over all the other two movies is that it's shot on film.
true.
Leave.
True.
Just leave. Just
True.
leave. Get
If you're
out.
If you're a nerd who cares
I want to
about
see
that sort of
Space Jam projected on 35mm.
But that's the thing too. I watched Space Jam when I was a kid, and I don't remember much of it. I just remember I watched it.
I
And
got
I
But you
watched
do
it
remember
now.
being like, "Oh my god, this thing was shot on film. That's so cool."
I mean, it does
Like,
have its
damn,
charm, okay?
This is nice, crispy.
All jokes aside, it does have
film.
its charm. Like,
I mean, it's. I will say it makes sense for the era, but
Yeah.
it's really strange to watch because I bought a brand new TV like a couple months ago. And I was watching it on there last night, and then I'm just looking at this. I'm like, oh, wow, this feels so damn dated. Like some movies from the '90s don't look that dated. Like the cinematography holds up and all that.
4K release recently. I don't know how that holds up. I gotta go Joseph for that.
But does it make you feel like Spider-Man?
No, but I gotta say, it's the Dark Souls of the 4K Blu-rays.
Okay, good. As long as it was one of the two. So with the acting, I think,
What
I
acting?
think Mike. Yeah, right. I think they're okay. I don't think they're
It's not
particularly good, but it's helped
No.
that they're kind of having fun with it, so it's not too bad. I don't think Michael Jordan is that good of an actor. I think he has some moments where I was kind of surprised that he actually did pretty well with the real life counterparts, and I'm like, oh, he's pretty good here. But when he gets to the Looney Tunes, yeah, no. Wayne Knight is a better actor, but the stuff that he was given to
They've
do.
done him dirty in this.
I hated him so much in this movie. Probably easily my least favorite part of the film.
Yeah.
Every time I watch Michael Jordan like talking to somebody, I don't know what it was. I started noticing it early on and started messing with me ever since. Like if you look at his eyes don't ever. have any emotion. There's nothing happening with the eyes. Like his mouth moves and he says the lines, and his eyes just are like blank staring.
I wonder what's
And
happening
it's
inside
really
of his head.
I'm supposed to be talking to a cartoon bunny. That's probably what it is.
Ian McKellen would have the toughest day on set if he was in the Looney Tunes movie.
I will say that I like that with the whole story of Space Jam, like with the way that they've written that out. Michael Jordan doesn't take himself very seriously in the movie. Like he's like yes, he's this huge successful basketball player, but like then he goes into baseball and he knows he's not good at it. And he doesn't have any misconceptions about that. Like he wants people to tell him he's bad at it, but people won't really tell him he's bad at it. And it's just a nice contrast compared to Space Jam 2. We're gonna get into that later, but it's just like it's a very different beginning. Like Space Jam 1 is very humble in that. Space Jam 2 is like, oh, you're a fucking awesome. You're amazing. We love you. You're so fantastic at everything. Please. You're the guy.
I agree with that to a point. I also think it doesn't. I don't think it would hurt Michael Jordan's ego too much to say you're not as good at baseball as you are at basketball. So I think he kind of took an easy. That wasn't a too hard route for him to take, I'm sure. But and I know that they're all it's like, oh, we need the best basketball player of all time. That's you, Michael Jordan. He's like, well, all right. And I'm like, yeah, okay. Which, I mean, to be fair, he's really fucking good. So I can't, it's not like they're saying this about some like random basketball player.
Yeah.
They are saying it about Michael Jordan. So if anyone's earned it, he has.
Also, talking about other basketball players, the ones that get their powers taken away.
Yeah. I gotta say too, also, it was kind of that very final scene that I realized that one dude was super short and that one like white guy from somewhere was like mad tall. I didn't notice how tall he was until that final scene where you put them up next to each other. Dude is like 7-8 feet tall or something insane like that. He looks massive on screen.
Yeah.
Terrifying.
I like how they all kind of like gossip about Michael Jordan. It's like, oh, it's Michael Jordan. Oh, all right. Oh, you here to mock us for being bad at basketball. I'm Michael Jordan, and then they're like, ugh, thanks, Michael Jordan. Ugh, all right. This is
like, well, thank you for giving me my career back, I guess. This guy.
Danny DeVito's guy.
Danny DeVito's pretty good.
Yeah, it's not really a surprise. I think he has a good flair for the whole like comically villainous type. Like he's a villain, but he's not necessarily intimidating. It's just that like he just kind of he picks on the weaklings. I think he played that really well.
Yeah.
But it's really weird to see that Michael Jordan. I mean, aside from Bill Murray, but like Michael Jordan is really the big A-lister, and he's the only like A-lister that's actually a human. And like really everything else, like main characters, anything else is really just drawn in. It's got to be kind of a weird experience for billing purposes and all that.
Yeah, speaking of billing, I have an issue with this. So Billy West voices Bugs Bunny in this movie. I've met Billy West, very nice guy. And in the credits, yes, it's fun to have them be like, oh, it's Michael Jordan and Bugs Bunny. And you're like, oh, okay, then Michael Jordan and Bugs Bunny are starring in the same movie together. Just say Billy West. He did the work. He clearly put more effort into this movie than half the cast.
Billy West and like parentheses underneath of it something.
I think it works in the opening, but like...
yeah. I just think I get why they did it, but I'm very, very tired of, and this is this isn't something that was as big of a problem. No, it was a problem back then, but it wasn't. People weren't so sick of it yet. But I'm very sick of voice actors just not being given credit within the same category
that I do agree with, especially on the Transformers movies.
Yeah. Peter Cullen should be
should be on the top of the list.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Not to mention for example, like that Ratchet and Clank movie. they got celebrities like Sylvester Stallone into it and stuff like that, so they put him on the front of the bill. I'm pretty sure he's barely in the movie. The two people who carry the fucking film, D. Bradley Baker and I think James Arnold Taylor. I think maybe I know James Arnold Taylor is Ratchet. I'm not sure who's Clank. Those two are at the fucking end of the top of like the billing on their own movie because they're not famous actors. They're voice actors. Their job is to voice animated stuff, and they're good at it. Give them proper credit. They deserve it.
I think they also shouldn't be paid as much as regular actors, but they should be paid more than they are now.
Yeah.
I wouldn't mind if they were paid as much. I mean, it's...
No, I wouldn't mind
I get why they're not.
No, but then the animators might get even more shortchanged. Who knows? Like, at that point, it's not like they're getting paid any king's salary either.
Yeah.
It's a weird sort of thing. Like, no one's really winning in that scenario. Like, voice actors aren't really getting their proper dues, and then the animators are definitely not getting their dues, but then they're also, shoved in a work farm with like 40 others, and they appear at a little blot this big on the credits.
What's even worse is, but I think the best example, and we'll come back to it in Space Jam 2, but Space Jam 2 is a great example of why exactly you need voice actors, not just actors in these things, because Zendaya voices Lola Bunny, and Zendaya is a good actress. I like, categorically, she's a really good actress. She's not a good voice actress. She's not good as Lola Bunny. She's I would say
it's
even
just
bad.
It's a weird choice. Like Zendaya is Lola Bunny. Like, what the fuck?
Has she voice acted?
Cast Lola.
Just cast the original voice actor. You'd probably save some more money.
Yeah, and also the original Lola Bunny.
Actually, she has voice acted.
She has. Okay, I thought maybe she had.
I heard. I think a friend of mine said. I don't know if it's true. Don't quote me on this. I think they already had the original voice actress of Lola Bunny voicing in the film, but then she got voiced over by Zendaya.
That doesn't shock me.
Makes no sense.
This movie... well, okay. Let's just go into the score for Space Jam 1.
Okay.
Does anyone have anything else to say?
Let's talk about the little creatures. The little, what do you call them? Hang on. They're called the Nerdlucks.
But that's their called?
The Nerdlucks. Yeah, apparently. Alright, weird name.
I would have just called them the aliens from Moron Mountain.
Yeah. Weird. In any case, though, like, I actually think those guys are pretty cool. I kind of enjoy them.
Yeah.
They're not great, but they're enough to kind of be like, yeah, okay.
I like it when they land in Toontown. They have this conversation with Bugs Bunny.
Yeah.
It's like I'm sorry, don't know. Like looks into the camera.
I also like I like the ending and how they stand up to Danny DeVito. I also like what was I going to say? I like how this is very corny, but I like the whole water is actually secret super serum juice that they're drinking. But the juice was inside them the whole time, and then at the end he's like, "No, you don't get it. It was just water. It's not real." They're like, "Yeah, but can we have some more?" And then I don't actually remember how they win.
Stretch Armstrong, Michael
so
Jordan. I probably shouldn't do this pose on camera.
Got it. Yeah.
Probably
You
just
can tell
have pose on camera.
with 10 seconds left in the game that he can do like Looney Tunes shit, and then it's like, oh, you tell me this with 10 seconds left. Cool, thanks. Yeah.
That's kind of cute.
Yeah.
I think this movie is. I don't think it's amazing, but I think it's pretty harmless. I had not a bad time watching it.
Yeah, it's not awful. It has its moments. It's a mixed bag, and some of it is quite mainly with the regular people. Besides Bill Murray, it's kind of dull.
Yeah, well, it's also kind of a strange movie because it feels almost like nothing really happened in the grand scheme of things. Like, it's such a quick in and out kind of a movie. Like, there isn't a grand setup. Just, most of these kind of movies where you have like aliens coming to Earth or whatever like that, you have all these moments where they're like, rallying governors and senators and presidents and getting everybody together, and there's military and all this other crazy shit. But with this one, they just show up, drop into the ground, they're gone. the humans don't even get involved.
Yeah.
In that sense. And
Nothing
then just
really is at stake, kinda,
No.
except the tunes going to that
Oh.
thing.
And also, this is one thing I thought was kind of funny, like looking back on it now, just kind of given the way we look at things lately. I just thought it was really funny that the whole time these the Looney Tunes characters were telling Michael Jordan like, "Hey, famous black man, they're gonna make us slaves," and he was just like, "Hey, don't worry, we're gonna win." I'm like, I feel like that's a very calm reaction to what they just told you, Michael Jordan. They just told you they were going to be slaves on another planet. And
Imagine-
you're just like, I don't know why it just
Although,
struck me as very
The
odd.
Dutch are invading our land. They're gonna steal our spices and make us slaves. Now we're gonna win.
Guys, we got this basketball game coming up. We're gonna win. It's all good. You don't need
It's
to worry
'cause
about it. We're gonna win.
he's probably at a point where he's like, I've won against everyone. You think I'm gonna lose against these freaking like aliens that are, and then they turn to giant basketball players.
Yeah.
It's like,
Maybe there's gonna be a new slave colony somewhere. I guess. Not bad. It's just- Could you imagine
I
if he
would
just
like to
lost
be
the
just
game?
yeah.
He's just like, damn, sorry guys. Hit me up in like 400 years, and we can try to get a revolution going or something. If you want.
We all lost the game.
I'll
but
send you
I
a
think,
check, post the black square on Instagram. I'll do that to help you, so,
For Moron Mountain, hashtag Moron Lives Matters. It's just like the aliens just like lined up.
Oh, I like how this is small but important because I'm going to come back to the Space Jam 2. I like how the Looney Tunes are in the center of the Earth. I think that's really cool.
yeah,
I think
Yeah.
that's fun.
they're
Well,
using the
also
whole
kinda
Earth
makes
to
sense
transport themselves.
With that iris, they call it the iris, the Looney Tunes like circle thing that's got all the other rings to it. When you
Yeah,
look at
yeah.
that, it kind of looks like that's the center of the Earth, like that's the Earth's core.
Yeah, that's just a fun little thing that I think makes perfect sense. And so that was cool. It would be a shame if in some sequel they turn that into something completely corporate and creatively bankrupt.
Like I don't know, like the Cerberus.
Verse? Yeah.
So, scores for Space Jam. For me, it's a 6 out of 10, leaning into a 5.
I'd say.
You go.
I mean, for me, I think I'm at 6.5. Like, I enjoyed it and I laughed a bit, but I don't have any strong attachment to it. I could just as well never see it again and not really feel remiss, you know?
Yeah.
You're 5. I don't feel super strong towards it either way. I think it's ultimately a pretty, not a great movie, but I can see people enjoying it, especially those who grew up with it.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think a 5. So 5 isn't really a bad score. I think people sometimes freak out a little with 5. So no, it's average. Yeah, that's fine.
Yeah, it's an average movie.
I don't think it's above average.
No, but like, I think the coolest thing about Space Jam is that it happened. Not what it ended up being, but the fact that they made this massive
Yeah.
movie with
It's
NBA's.
such a weird concept, out of nowhere, but I admire that.
Yeah, and like it's seriously
Make
technically
them like they used to.
sufficient. Like for the time that they made this in, animation tech and
I think it
compositing
came
and all
out
that kind of
at
stuff.
the right time.
Yeah, but it was like, you wouldn't really expect them to pull that off in like a major motion picture. Like, it's just it seems like a movie that was destined to fail, and yet it became like a cultural thing. I mean, like
I think-
a lot of kids watched it and they love Looney Tunes.
I
They
think
love
it's
Michael
like,
Jordan. They love sneakers. So
Who Framed Roger Rabbit kickstarted
yeah.
this.
Yeah, Who Framed Roger Rabbit is definitely also a lot closer to Looney Tunes back in
Yeah.
action.
I saw it.
Um,
I saw Who Framed Roger Rabbit at a cinema like about 3 weeks ago. And it's the second
Yeah.
time I watched it, and I still love it. It's a very good film. If
I
you
haven't
haven't
seen
seen
that
it,
one in a long while.
if you
I
haven't
think I
seen it,
watched
just
it
check
last
it out.
week.
It's great.
It's also one of those movies that I think it also does something Looney Tunes back in action does, which is kind of charming, is when you just mix in other known figures from other places into your
Yeah.
movie. Because a lot of movies,
Okay.
like the animation
See-
stuff, kind of like live their own universe. So it's cool to see them like drawing
Yeah.
from other places.
That would be a great segue to lead into Back in Action. But I think we're gonna go into Space Jam 2 and leave Back in Action best for last.
Wow.
I think I'd rather kill myself.
I think I'd rather
Space Jam, a
finish
new
this whole
legacy,
bottle.
starring LeBron James. Who,
LeBron
I don't know if
James.
you've read it,
LeBron
but
James.
his action figures are on shelves and their heads are being taken off and sold for $1,000 on eBay.
I saw that. That is disturbing when you see an action figure without its head. It's like a Cronenberg thing. It's very freaky.
Yeah. I've got a bunch of action figures right here. I could just take off all their heads and.
Please don't. I'll
Just
have
like
I'll
this-
have just nightmares about some random Australian action figures like running around like this in my home, and I don't want to think about that.
That's fair. That's fair.
So,
Space Jam 2. I have thoughts
Stephen
on that.
Yeun
I'm
is
sure
in this
we all have.
movie. Stephen Yeun,
Yeah.
For one scene.
for one scene.
One
I
Gordon
hope
scene,
he
yeah.
got. I hope this was the paycheck that financed Minari. So, I guess good for
Well,
him.
Yeah. Should hope something good came from it.
Let's start by putting this out there. It's weird that the Clockwork Orange boys are in this movie.
It is also weird that
That is
they're
so
in The
weird.
Matrix, an R-rated film that kids are not allowed to see. They're also in Mad Max Fury Road, an R-rated film
No,
kids
no,
are not
no,
allowed
no,
to
no,
see.
No, hang on.
Rick
The
and
Clockwork
Morty.
Orange dudes are quite literally rapists and like menaces.
Yes. The Clockwork Orange people. I think that's legitimately too far to see them. I mean,
Yeah.
Pennywise is also there, but it's like it's a fucking fictional clown. It's a
Yeah.
bit different. But Space Jam 2 is an interesting kind of movie because it is such a horrible movie from start to finish, except for two scenes, which I actually think are 10 out of 10 scenes. The
Okay.
first scene is because I had seen some of the cameos and I wasn't into the Casablanca one. I wasn't into the Austin
like
Powers one. I did not know about the Mad Max one.
I liked
and that
it.
was fucking
Yeah.
awesome.
I actually
that
liked it.
was so fucking funny. Seeing like it because it
So-
actually
shh.
fit. Seeing
Witness
the
me.
Roadrunner and the Coyote like actually in that aesthetic, and then him popping the witness.
Yeah.
I fucking flipped out. That was
Yeah,
awesome.
I think that was one of the funnier scenes I like in this film.
Yeah, that
I
was-
just
that
love
movie-
Wile E. Coyote, man.
Yeah, that scene on its own, I would watch on repeat. That's so
If they
fucking
just made the whole movie like that, it would have been an Oscar win.
yeah. There's a brief period of time between them finding the Looney Tunes and just before the game where the movie is actually okay because they lean
Yeah.
into the Looney Tunes stuff. And I'm like, keep doing that, and then they turn to CG and it turns to shit.
Yeah,
and
but
also they
In that brief, sorry.
No, you're good. I was gonna say I really liked what they were doing in that part. Just like kind of nodding to all the other Warner Brothers intellectual property or whatever. Like, which is cool because Warner Brothers has been around for so long that they have a really great repertoire under their belts.
Yeah, it's
That
not-
could have been so much fun.
It's
and
not
they just barely
that
explored
bad, at least.
Yeah, and that section I thought was pretty good. The one other great scene is the Michael B. Jordan joke, which I think
Yes!
is
Yeah,
fucking
that was
strong. That was a strong fucking joke. I legitimately lost it. I was like, oh come on, all right, you're just gonna focus around. It's not gonna be Michael Jordan. Come on, just show us the stupid guy. And then like if Michael B. Jordan comes up, I'm like.
I think this movie was produced by Ryan Coogler, so that probably
It was,
explains
yeah.
why he was on set.
Yeah. I'm pretty sure they just, once Cougar got involved, he's like, hey, I know another Michael Jordan. Maybe that's something? Maybe that could be used as a
That-
joke?
That gag was so fucking funny. It legitimately, because I was like so grumpy with this movie, it literally made me feel like. and I'm like coming to my mouth like, no.
I love the build up to that joke too. It's like, holy shit, Michael Jordan's gonna be in this fucking movie. It's like Michael B. Jordan.
And they play
This
the
is not-
music,
I'm
and
just-
Jack got the microphone, he's like, at 6'6", NBA's all-time favorite superstar, Michael Jordan. And then it's just Michael B. Jordan with popcorn in his hand.
Unfortunately, the movie also has Porky Pig rap, so it lost all goodwill that those two scenes had built up.
why,
The final
why do they do that? Why do
basketball
they do
scene
that?
is 40 minutes long.
It's
The
so long.
whole movie is 1 hour and 55 minutes long.
I spent that entire time just looking for cameos,
Dude.
and which is a very like a
Rabbit
very
thing to do.
like soy jack thing to do. I was
Yeah.
going to say, but however, in my defense, it's more interesting than watching actual Space Jam 2. I found
It's such a weird thing too because they tease all these cameos and you're like, oh, this could be fun. And then
You
when you're
know-
watching the basketball scenes, their depth of field is cranked up to like 9 million, so you can't even see
Yeah.
half of the extras in the background anyways. What's
So-
the
it
point?
was weird. Yeah,
Here's the thing. I am glad I did not see any Lord of the Rings character. No Sauron. Because, of course, Sauron has the best cameo in the Lego Batman movie.
yes, he does. He does. That's a great fucking cameo.
But I will say
But not even.
I know you said you didn't really like it all that much, but I really like the Casablanca scene just because I'm a sucker for like old saloon songs, and hearing as time goes by in a movie from 2021 made by a corporate company was just such a nice little reminder that I'm not the only person that still likes that song.
Yeah, fair enough. That one wasn't too bad. I just thought, especially the Austin. Maybe it was because Elmer Fudd kind of put me off because I listened to this new Elmer Fudd voice, which just did not sound like him, and it's one of his few lines in this movie. So many of the characters, the Looney Tunes, have like 2 lines. Like Tweety Bird says like 2 things. I think all that Sylvester says is "fuckatash" as he usually does. I think Sam doesn't really say much aside from that Casablanca scene, and it's pretty much even Porky Pig. All he gets is the rap, like
Which also doesn't sound like Porky Pig rapping, it just sounds like a person.
yeah.
I
really the
couldn't hear
only
what he was
tunes
saying.
that
My ears were
have
bleeding
actual
the whole
stuff to
time.
say- the only tunes that have stuff to say are Bugs, Daffy, and Lola. All the other ones are like good for visual gags and not much else. Although Coyote and Roadrunner do have some really good moments.
Yeah,
that
yeah.
like
I love Coyote.
I love
Did you
the part
guys
when
did you guys spot the
Run 'em up and put 'em on
Animaniacs
the
in the
floor.
film?
no,
No.
were they in it?
They were in it. They were on top of the spaceship in the basketball
that's
game.
Oh.
The Iron Giant is obviously also in this film, and I think it's a reused model from Ready Player One.
Doesn't
I was
shock
gonna
me.
say,
King
I was
Kong
gonna
as
say that whole scene when they're starting to like unite them at the actual courts felt like Ready Player One, but I didn't want to reference something and sound like an idiot because I haven't seen the full.
well. No,
Ready Player
you're
One.
right. This is Ready Player One. Someone said it's Ready Player One, but worse. I disagree only because of the Michael B. Jordan gag. Because
true. That elevates
I
it.
don't. I hate Ready Player One. It has no scenes that I like. This had 2.
Here's,
so technically it's bad.
Here's the
Also,
thing that
don't
put-
forget there's Rick and Morty in this one, so automatic.
I don't hate that.
100,000
It's
upvotes.
not bad.
No, it
Also,
isn't bad. It's just a dumb joke, but it was actually kind of funny. I will say that was funny.
So we also have Big Chungus in this movie.
Yeah. 10 out of
Yeah.
10. If only they had Among Us as well.
You know what?
I couldn't
I
believe they
honestly
put
fully
Rick
expected-
Sanchez, the guy from Fortnite, in this movie.
They should bring Travis Scott, that other guy from Fortnite. That'd be pretty cool.
Don't you mean Drake?
So also, this is the thing that was like kind of strange about the movie too. Like I started noticing this, and maybe I'm a little bit neurotic when it comes to this stuff. I've noticed that in a lot of movies and TV shows, when they use rap music that's supposed to be family friendly, they never hire actual rappers, like commercial rappers. They hire someone who like makes corporate rap backing tracks for movies and like YouTube videos and stuff.
Like
Because if you like
Aquaman,
listen to the lyrics, it's so bad.
like
So
Aquaman
bad.
and Gotti, they should have hired Pitbull.
Yeah, or just hire Future and just cut the curse words out. But like when you hear like somebody on like the basketball court of LeBron James is by the way, LeBron James listens to every new rap track that comes out immediately after it comes out. He gets leaks sent to him by Drake, I'm sure. And his kids are on the basketball court, they're playing some bullshit like
Yeah, here's
just
the
corporate
thing.
song in the background. It's like, I'm gonna win it, I'm gonna win it, I'm gonna
The
do
whole
everything I'm gonna win."
soundtrack isn't even half as good as the original soundtrack for the first
No.
Space Jam.
It's so bad. And the rap ruined it too. Like, and LeBron James was like in the background, like, oh.
I'd
yeah,
rather
that's
have the
big rap."
sound of R. Kelly peeing in this soundtrack than what we got right now.
I'm honestly, I was just so bummed by like the soundtrack at first was a little bit of a letdown, but then especially that whole plot of LeBron James is an awful father and doesn't care about his kids' interests because he dares to do something that isn't basketball related. I'm like,
Well,
how many times have we seen this movie in the 80s and in the 90s where some kid doesn't want to pick up his dad's basketball legacy or his football legacy, and the dad's all like, "What are you gonna do? Get an art degree?"
Well,
Pretty
but more
boy.
than that, they couldn't commit because they didn't want to insult LeBron James too much. So LeBron James doesn't really say anything bad. He just like doesn't really like immediately catch on to what his kid wants to do, and then he follows him about to like follow up the conversation, but the kid doesn't let him, and then Don Cheadle swoops in, and Don Cheadle's in this movie, and he's fine.
Don Cheadle was the
Someone said
best part of it, really, in my case.
Don Gulcino.
Don Cheadle was like, he was surprisingly charismatic for somebody who was playing a corporate algorithm in a server verse. Which all those words are just bull. It makes no sense. But
I'd rather have
Don
a
Cheadle
Don
word
Cheadle
of the day
behind.
prophets.
I'd rather have a Don Cheadle behind my phone than the FBI.
if Don Cheadle was looking at me while I looked up, the Anarchist Cookbook, I'd feel at least a little bit more, appreciated and seen than some bald-headed white dude in Fairfax, Virginia.
Although
I
one of
only
his
get
jokes, terrible. The King Kong ain't got nothing on me.
Yeah, I was like, you just stole that from Training Day, and it's not landing the way you wanted it to land.
Here's another joke that put me off. So, Bugs Bunny makes fun of William Shatner's Kirk from Star Trek.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, this is a movie purely with Warner Brothers stuff. Purely based on Warner Brothers franchises. I'm like, and you go make fun of Star Trek, you lazy
I
bastards.
think it was making fun of it. I think it was just doing like a kind
Pop
of
culture
silly
reference.
parody.
It's just weird how it's like a Paramount franchise weirdly quoted into this Warner Brothers focused movie.
Oh, I don't hate it.
Yeah.
I don't.
Well, I will say, one of the things that I really actually, I found myself laughing the most during probably was the Matrix reimagining, I guess you should call it.
With Granny.
Yeah, that
That's
actually
kinda cool.
that got me.
Thought it was okay, but I
like
do love the
Granny.
outfits that they have at the end.
I don't know, like this movie was such a weird it's like trail mix, every now and then you get the thing you like, but the rest of it's just not what you want.
I just found it so odd. You would have a movie where you like Scooby-Doo is technically in this movie. Why the hell would you put like him way in the background of the film? I don't see how like they made fun of the whole fact that they're like, oh, we're in the serververse, anyone can cross over with anyone. Like Scooby-Doo can be in this movie. I'm like, then show it. I want to see
I want
Scooby-Doo
Ben
towards the Looney
Affleck
Tunes.
Batman
And-
doing slam dunks above Don Cheadle's head.
But like the thing
Or Ben
that also
Affleck. He's not.
makes
I
no
don't even know
sense
if he's
about
doing. Sorry.
Imagine if like Ben Affleck's Batman just got his grappling gun, shot Don Cheadle, flew him over the other side of the basketball field. Like Zack Snyder blood would come out.
Oh my god, everything turns into black and white or like really, really desaturated and just dark, grainy
Also,
film.
This movie has posters somewhere on the parking lot, like Scoob, Suicide Squad, Aquaman. But those posters are so obviously edited in the movie. They look so bad in broad daylight.
Oh, and Joker stairs are in it.
Yeah, and it's also weird that they got like another R-rated movie, The Suicide Squad. In this kids movie.
Yeah.
Kids will literally
also,
beg for their
this
parents
movie
to
is
watch this
just
movie.
ideologically inconsistent. The movie starts off with saying like, "Hey, if you wanna get ahead in life, you gotta learn the fundamentals. You gotta."
But also
gotta do
watch
things the right way."
Suicide Squad in theaters August 5th.
But then the end of it is just like, "Hey, you want to know the secret to success? Exploit a game bug, because the odds are stacked against you by an algorithm." What is the lesson?
I mean, that is a good analogy for life, though. You should be exploiting glitches and bugs because the
but
algorithm
the
is stacked
lesson-
You
against
should be using
The
real life
lesson is
cheat codes.
stupid.
That's the only
The
way you
lesson
win
is
the
stupid.
game.
They spend this whole movie trying to make it seem like, like LeBron is this like all-knowing father figure, and that like just through the power of family, he like eventually gets through to his son, and they unite against this algorithm. The only thing that happens during the movie is that they're held hostage by a crazy machine. There's no, like it's not a lesson.
Imagine Warner Brothers owned Fast and Furious, and Vin Diesel would show up and give LeBron James an hour-long lecture about family.
Yeah. And then you just hear the bandolero song in the background. I don't know, man, like
Stupid.
it's such a strange movie. It feels you like very just it leaves you very unfulfilled. Like it's supposed to be Space Jam, but it's not Space Jam.
It's because the theme of both Space Jam movies is cheating is okay. That's the through line between both these movies.
Also, Wonder Woman is in this film. Not voiced by
Yeah, I
Gal
like
Gadot,
that.
but I think she was voiced by Rosario Dawson, who voiced her in
She
some
was.
other animated movies. Alright, so I was right.
I thought it was Gal Gadot. That's strange.
But it's weird that she's
I
like
thought-
in a comic book instead of an animated movie.
No, I love that. I actually didn't mind that scene as well. And I also liked how I was like, oh, they're gonna kick her out because she didn't finish the task, even though Wonder Woman would totally make her an Amazon. And then Wonder Woman was like, no, I get it. Like, you have to save your friends. That is the heart of a warrior. You're an Amazon. I'm like, yeah, okay.
Yeah,
That was a nice touch. But yeah, I don't know. Ultimately, this movie just comes across as like a very half-baked effort to make.
the final
Space Jam.
basketball scene is just goddamn boring, except for whatever
Yeah.
Wile E. Coyote does.
Well,
Yeah.
like, and also the whole Chronos thing with the guy who just randomly can slow down time. Like, at that point, you're just saying the rules don't matter, the points are made up, and it's whose line is it anyway, right? Like at this point, nothing matters.
Yeah.
So like,
Yes, absolutely.
they set
But I
up all
mean,
this
did
stuff.
it matter in the other one either?
No, but at least everyone was at least playing with Looney Tunes rules. But then in this one, it's like it's Looney Tunes rules, but also computer wizardry rules, and people running around with time stopping. And like it's a very strange thing. Like they keep sabotaging their own momentum here. Like they
Yeah.
could have, if they just did a modern, polished Looney Tunes Ian basketball game, that could have been really cool. But they had to go like, oh, we got to use like algorithm, server, all this jargon that we don't understand, mainframes, and all this bullshit, and it doesn't work.
At the end of the
unfortunately.
day, somebody got paid to write this shit.
Maybe that should be my next career, is just Hollywood screenwriting. I'll just throw a bunch of tech jargon into a script generator and throw in the character names instead of person A and person B and send it off to Warner Brothers.
I wrote Space Jam 3. I would lean into the fact that bugs can apparently never die. Have any of you guys read Immortal Hulk?
No.
It is about how the Hulk can never die, and so he becomes this horrifying kind of body horror type of monster who like just wanders the earth, like being fucking terrifying half the time. And that there's this alternate reality where he literally outlives everything in the earth and eats God because he's just like devoured everything in this entire universe. I think that's Bugs Bunny. I think Bugs Bunny will like
Bugs
show up
Bunny
at the
is
end of Oblivion and will be like, what's up, Doc? And then he'll like fucking
standing
like,
next
eat
to
the
God. It's
creator
like,
of
hey,
Next
what's
Universe.
up, Doc?
Yeah.
I also don't understand actually that point when they're in the comic book with Wonder Woman and Bugs and LeBron are like sliding off the cliff, and he's like, Lola, and like she comes back and saves him. I'm thinking like, Bugs, y'all can't die. Like you've been hit with a cannonball and a musket, and I'm pretty sure every other.
Well, he never
man-made
said he'd
type-
die. He just said it would hurt.
Yeah, but it's like, suck it up, bro. She's doing the Olympics of Wonder Womanness. Let her finish her task, and you will survive. I don't know about LeBron, but by those
Let her finish the
rules,
task on electrical.
So let's just rate this film. For me,
Oh,
it's
God.
a 3 out of 10.
I'd say I'm with you at like a 3 or maybe a 3.5, just because I liked some of the references they did.
It is not.
Three-
It is not painfully agonizing as Tom and Jerry. That is possibly one of the worst films I've ever seen, and the hardest to sit through.
Really.
I don't plan to see it specifically because Ruben said it was so bad.
It is
Yeah, I've
very
heard
bad.
bad things, so I avoided that like the plague.
Yeah, fair enough. I look. They didn't get a sex offender to write the next I Believe I Can Fly, so really Space Jam 2 just doesn't live up to it. I think it was
Yeah.
I just can't believe that R. Kelly, of all people, is the guy who wrote I Believe I Can Fly and he wrote it for Space Jam. You know?
I can't believe that I actually missed that song in the new Space Jam. It almost would have redeemed some of the nastiness if they just threw in one
R. Kelly
thing.
peeing? Agreed. Okay, next movie. Looney Tunes back in
Wait, hang
action.
So I haven't. So it's yes. I
Damn
think
you,
it's a 3 out of 10.
Nicholas. You ruined my transition into the next movie.
Well,
Ruben,
that's
we're
what
not
you
getting
get
your
for
transitions
being
here.
scored your movie, you fool. You know,
What?
jabroni.
Look, Ruben, what do you think this is? Universal healthcare? You're not getting free transitions, okay? Come on, man.
God, wouldn't that be nice? But I live in Australia. What am I saying? Anyway, so Looney Tunes back in action.
Looney Tunes back in action with the king,
What a
the king
picture.
himself.
What a
What?
picture.
What a glorious thing.
Okay. Full disclosure, I did not rewatch this movie. Reason being, I have such fond memories of it. I've decided just to let it sit like
Dude.
that in my head.
It ages perfectly well.
I will agree with that,
Okay.
yeah. I watched it and it felt like I was just, like nothing about it felt
Brendan?
really that dated.
Brendan Fraser does a great job with the tunes.
He does. He's very emotive. That's the thing, though. He's like, he really emotes when he speaks and when he moves and gesticulates. Like, he doesn't feel like he's just like looking at a marker. And that's the thing, too. With Space Jam 2 and Space Jam the original, so many people, their eye lines were all wrong throughout the whole thing. In Space Jam 2, especially, like, when those basketball commentators were talking, none of them were looking at the same thing. They weren't looking at each other. They were looking over at, like, a ficus in the distance.
Yeah.
Like Brendan Fraser, he's looking into the soul of Daffy or Bugs Bunny when he's
Yeah,
talking
he
to him.
reads the temperature of the room very well.
Yeah.
I just this movie's so great. The way it
It's-
starts,
The
It
dynamic
starts off
between
so
Dad.
well.
Wait, say again.
I was just saying, it starts off so well too. Like you're seeing Brendan Fraser in like a, just kind of like a humble sort of dejected sense. Like he's not actually very confident. He's like, you know, he wants to do things and achieve things. He's not achieving them. He looks goddamn amazing. Like I mean, in that security guard uniform, especially, his arms are bulging through that thing like the Hulk. But he's still like this very lovable character. You know, you don't get
I
this
love
impression.
how he shits on himself during the whole movie. You've ever seen those mummy movies? Yeah, I was in them more than he was. But suddenly, oh, he's gonna be, oh, I've got all my own stunts. At the end, he punches himself.
Punches himself very strong.
Yeah. I love that.
God, that is so well done. That is how you do crossovers with franchise properties.
Yeah.
Like Daffy going into the Batmobile, destroying the whole damn water tower.
And also, the guy that got to play Batman on the like for that split second that you see him, I swear it looked actually quite a bit like it could have actually been, you know, the proper villain, but you know, it's probably just somebody.
Yeah.
Or-
I think the Batman suit they used for that film was the one for Batman Forever.
That makes sense. Yeah. Either way, the whole
It's a balance
beginning
in
with
this movie, and it's strong.
yeah.
I love how they're reading the script, and they're literally at the office of the Warner Brothers, who are twins in this movie. She makes good movies, like Lethal Weapon's Babies. Finally,
Yeah.
Lethal Weapon I could take my grandkids to.
I would love to actually see a Lethal Weapon Babies, where it's just a bunch of babies just like avoiding getting killed by some international terrorist hit squad or something.
Love it. Love to see it.
God, it's so...
Timothy Dalton's also pretty good in this movie.
Yeah,
I love-
his hair is unsettling, but otherwise I liked him very much in it.
I love the way they put him just in this film. He actually is like if his James Bond movies continues.
Yeah. And he also seems to actually be enjoying himself and all that too. It's not
Yeah.
like one of those like painful cameos where it's like, look, dude, we'll pay you $3 billion to show up for
My
one
son will kick your evil butt.
And he got into. I gotta say, like, I think this one was very different from the other ones, especially because they involved a lot more real people in it too. Like, it felt just so much more.
It felt like an actual
Wow.
movie.
Yeah.
Daffy Duck had actual character to him. He's like fed up with everything the script throws at him, and he just wants to be a more serious character through the film. Stuff happens to him. Yeah, and I think it's just so well done. It genuinely is a good, well-written story.
Yeah. And I think if this is one of those movies too where I feel like if you just remove the whole Looney Tunes aspect from it, it would still stand up as like a funny, a visual gag humor kind of movie too. And there's like I noticed this just barely in the beginning. There's that scene where Brendan Fraser's getting like stripped of his badge and like he's, getting fired. And as the guy strips off, or like takes his shirt and takes his badge and he's like, your father would be very disappointed in you. And Brendan Fraser's walking away. You see like in the right side of the screen just barely, the guy steps down and then this guy goes in and picks up a ladder. Because they put the guy on a step ladder to make him tall enough to face Brendan Fraser in the scene.
That's strong. That's strong. Stronger than the joke where they just CGI Don Cheadle to be a little bit taller. Where he's clearly just standing on a step ladder.
No, the part when you actually see them like just steadying him down and taking a step, that was almost like a top secret kind of
crazy how good this film is. This movie only made $6 million at the box office. It didn't make a lot. Space Jam outgrossed it by a lot, and it's kind of a shame because this is a good movie that deserves a sequel or a follow-up in that kind. Because it is a fun adventure movie, so well executed, so damn funny. The slapstick is.
Wait, this only has 56 on Rotten Tomatoes?
Yeah, apparently it kind of got bombed when it came out.
Wow,
that's some bullshit. That's some bullshit.
Heavy bullshit. Heavy bullshit.
It's weird too because it's one of those movies that's like enjoyable on its own merit. Like it doesn't have. You don't necessarily need to care about it.
There's a side of me that thinks it could also be the nostalgia. Then again, I did laugh at the jokes, so.
But like,
this is holy shit. Sorry. I just looked this up. This didn't make a middling performance. This was a fucking huge failure.
Really?
This had a budget of 80 million and made 68 million.
Damn,
that sucks.
12 mil under budget.
This movie is why the Looney Tunes weren't back on the big screen until Space Jam 2.
Holy shit.
Fuck.
But that also makes no sense to me
suck.
Because it was so... I don't know, maybe... The thing is, I don't even remember watching this movie as a kid. I remember watching Space Jam. I don't remember watching Looney Tunes back in action. I watched it today, essentially for the first time, and it was funny, and it was engaging, and I enjoyed it a lot. And I wasn't colored by nostalgia or anything like that. It was just entertaining. I really don't know why people were so apprehensive to it at the time. Was it just the mixed medium or something?
You know what? I think that might be it. I think they've always been scared to do mixed media, even though it's a very strong way of showing content. Like, I think showing like these unrealistic animation styles with like, live action is incredibly strong and very powerful visually, as we saw with Who Framed Roger Rabbit. But like. But almost no one does that. I mean, they even turned the characters into CGI in Space Jam 2 because they couldn't be, because they were like, oh no, we can't have it like that for the whole movie. I'm like, no, you totally could. Maybe you should even. Yeah.
Just integrate them properly within the scenes or the environment that you're placing them in. Also, there's that great. This is a really cool practical thing that they did. There's that scene where Daffy gets like shot into a fire extinguisher on the wall, and Brendan Fraser goes to pick him up.
Yeah.
And you can tell when they shot that they put like a black pouch or a sack or something and covered it with foam, so that when Brendan Fraser went to go pick it up and like throw him against the wall and kind of like shake him off and try to get the suds off of him, that was a physical item because you can see how it's like real and it like goes over onto his hand and all that. And then they just animated some of it on the rest of Daffy. Like that was a super cool practical effect. That's very well
animation. That whole casino scene was funny too,
Yeah,
also,
with
I
the
gotta
car.
say, Steve Martin as Mr. Chairman is hilarious too.
But
right
Steve
after
Martin was a nice surprise.
when Wile E. Coyote comes in the film, that scene is also hilarious where the rocket goes off at the distance. He goes to the office, and he walks away. He's like, "Oh, I should mention that there's a guy's moving a few safes," and then, like, boom. It's like, I should also mention the plate window. And also Ron Perlman in a cameo as one of the chairman people.
Yeah, that was a surprise too, seeing Ron Perlman at the. There's a lot of interesting moments in this movie that just kind of catch you off guard, and like, I gotta say, I give this movie negative points for one very particular reason. It's not a big reason. No one gives a shit about this except for me. But they played "Come Fly with Me," but they played the version by Michael Bublé, and it's like, really?
God damn it!
Michael Bublé, like, really? Why? You got his version. Just play his version. It probably costs the same. Michael Bublé makes all his money off of covers and Christmas songs anyway.
This movie also finally answers who was in Paris: the Looney Tunes and Brendan Fraser.
I fucking love. I've been making that joke to excess with my friend while we've been rewatching a bunch of movies. Every time it started with Smallville when Lana goes to Paris for a while, and so like everyone started saying, "Oh, Lana's in Paris." I'm like, "Who's in Paris?" And they're like, and my other friend's like, "Oh, Lana." I'm like, "Oh, Lana's in Paris." I was like, "Yeah, Lana's in Paris." It's like, "Oh, cool. Well, just be sure." And then we'll do that every episode because they'll always mention it. And then we saw Days of Future Past, and then they wake up and someone's like, "Where are we?" And they're like, "In Paris." And I'm like, "What was that? What was that?" It was, but the problem is, turns out when you're actually in Paris, you can't make the joke as often because then it's like the joke is like you can do it once, and then the rest of the scene just takes place in Paris, and you can't do it again.
Yeah.
And I gotta say too, that whole casino like showdown, and then they get like chased out and all that. There's that part when Yosemite Sam gets like launched into that room full of explosives, and you just see his eyes open up. He's like, "Oh!" And then he explodes and flies out.
Look,
top tier, like typical Looney Tunes.
There's also some background stuff. I think where they're holding the dynamite, or they're almost crashing in the wall. Both Daffy and Bugs are exchanging their wills. You can send them down.
Yeah,
also, when they're throwing out the dynamite, so throw the dynamite. It's like we can't throw it on the open road.
You can hurt some children. That would be negative PR or whatever.
Yeah, that would have some negative influence on them. God,
that's the thing about this movie. Like, it has also there's that part when Bugs Bunny's at the restaurant with I'm so blanking on her name right now. He's at the restaurant.
I think that's one of the characters I don't really remember. It's the female character.
Her name's like something with a K, maybe? I'm sorry, this sounds so bad. I can't remember her name, but I can't remember anybody's names except for famous.
She kind of reminds me of the female in Indiana Jones Temple of
Doom. Yeah, but I was gonna make the same.
A little bit less, you know.
Yeah, but when they're in the restaurant and what was it? She made a comment to him. She's like, "Well, something about like you know what we'll do to revitalize your brand image? We'll pair you up with like a young hot starlet." And then he like switches on the blonde wig and the lipstick, and she's like, no. See, cross-dressing back then, funny. Today, not funny, not cool anymore. And then he was like, "Well, if you don't like a rabbit wearing lipstick, then you and I have nothing to say to each other."
There's also Matthew Lillard showing up in this film, sitting at the table with literal Scooby-Doo and Shaggy.
Yeah, that was an awesome
them
little...
complaining about the Scooby-Doo movie.
About the way that they did or he did their voices, whatever, right?
Yeah.
It was, like, that whole... And also, the frog in the background, when Bugs Bunny does the cross-dressing, the frog goes, "Hello, my baby, hello, my darling."
It's so great. And also, Michael Jordan also showing up in this movie. when the villain just like removes all those zippers. Let's do some drills. This doesn't make a lick of sense.
I feel like this movie just has a lot more fulfilling moments in it, like moments where they had a chance to do something and they took full advantage of it.
Yeah.
But nothing feels really wasted here.
When they have the Tasmanian Devil at the end where they steal the blue monkey. And then the bodyguard just removes the zipper and turns into a female Tasmanian Devil.
And also, we didn't mention this during Space Jam, but I thought that was a neat trick when he spins real fast, so the Earth spins but not the player in the air.
Yeah.
And he dunks on the wrong side. I will say, that was actually kind of a clever little moment right there. I like that.
Also,
I
the CGI in Back in Action, it's noticeable, but it isn't terrible.
No, it's not like it really isn't that bad or dated. It's just unrefined, if that's the right word.
Oh yeah, we also
So
got...
much when you've got a bunch of cartoons involved. At that point, I'm kind of like, well, you can get away with kind of fake effects.
We also
Yeah.
have a Dalek in this film.
I've mentioned this. I've mentioned
Yeah,
this.
you mentioned it.
You did? Oh shit.
Yes, several
Ruben.
times. I'm very excited about it. I love my fucking Daleks.
Ruben,
I
where
keep
have
one
you
on my
been,
fucking
man?
desk because he's my good luck charm. He doesn't work, but he's a good luck charm.
Well, that's probably a good thing he doesn't work, right?
yeah.
Hey.
God, I
This-
fucking love those guys.
There's a lot of really cool stuff in this movie, and also like the car that they drive, the TVR. I love that they bothered to get a car that was not just, standard boilerplate. Put a car in a movie, and the fact that the martini button dispenses a martini with a carrot.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know. It's the little details in this movie that you notice it for like a half a second, but it's just like, oh, that's so much infinitely more fun than Space Jam 2,
We also
It's so
got
much better.
the final scene where they're strapped to a bunch of crates of dynamite, I think. Like Roadrunner, Wile E. Coyote shows up in the train. It's like, they don't pay me enough.
Yeah. The sign up as it blows up.
And we also have the space fight between Daffy's alter ego. I forgot its name, but
Darkwing?
no, I think that's
I think that's
somewhere else.
Disney,
Darkwing.
I think.
But also
Yeah, I don't know where I got
with,
that from.
the
Duck Dangerous?
yes,
Also,
also
yeah.
the Martian guy. I also forgot his name.
Marvin the Martian?
Marvin the Martian. Yeah, that fight is just so funny. Also, the whole plan for Mr. Chairman to turn everyone into the Earth into a bunch of monkeys.
Yeah.
Duck
And
Dodgers,
him-
that's it.
Except for him and that
The
woman
fe-
Amy
the
or whatever
fever,
her
yeah.
name was. Yeah. Who he was like sort of hitting on or coming on pretty strongly to in the boardroom meeting earlier. This movie, like, it's funny though, like Steve Martin being in it, it gives it that extra level of campiness. Like, they didn't take this too seriously, because otherwise they wouldn't have put Steve Martin in shorts, a suit jacket, and given him the side curtains in like bright red, Like,
Yeah.
like they really just had a lot of fun with the characters, and I don't know, it's just so much more fun to watch this movie when you realize that they wanted to make a solidly polished comedy movie. Like, it's a comedy movie through and through, but the comedic elements are done well. They put effort
They
in where
did well enough, and then it tanked at the box office. Guys, what the
Yeah.
hell?
Look, I mean, Blade Runner tanked at the box office, and Blade Runner
Yeah.
2049 didn't do good at the box
Love the
office.
Looney Tunes back in action 2049.
I want to see. I want to see.
Well, yeah, they do
Looney
have
Tunes
Blade
back in
Runner.
action.
They do have Blade Runner in their collection of Warner Brothers. So who knows? They're even enough directing a 3-hour-long Looney Tunes movie. Could happen.
I would like to see a Blade Runner 2049 inspired Looney Tunes movie, but it's just them trying to find Michael Jordan, and he's at a Vegas casino.
No, they
And
should
he doesn't want
find
to
Brendan
join.
Fraser.
Yes, that's even better. That's even better.
Brendan Fraser's going back to acting slowly.
Yeah,
He's been in the
he's-
newest Steven Soderbergh movie, and
Which isn't he in a movie coming out called The Whale too?
yeah, I think so. I think wasn't that a Darren Aronofsky movie?
It might have been, yeah.
Yeah,
I'm
Good
trying to
for him.
remember.
good for
Yeah.
him.
Yeah. Also, that's the thing too. Like, watching this movie with him doing stunts and all that, and being a stuntman in the movie, just made me think about the whole, the lore of Brendan Fraser, and it just kind of made me a little bit like wistful way.
Well, apparently he's pretty good in Doom Patrol.
Yeah, I've
Yeah,
heard
he's-
that too. I never watched Doom Patrol. It's on the list, the list of never-ending shows and movies that I need
Yeah,
to
I'll
watch.
put it on my list, and then
I feel like that's the thing you say to everyone, especially when you go to like you're at somebody's house party or something, and you meet somebody you don't know, and they're just like, Yeah, man, you totally need to watch this show about time traveling dominatrixes. Like, yeah, I'll definitely
There
put
was
that on the
a
list.
fake article. It's like we showed an AI a list of 1,000 movies, and it said he'll watch it later.
I feel like that's anybody though. Like, and also my letterbox watch list. I think most of the things on there I've had on there for like years now.
Yeah.
I've still yet to watch them. It's bad.
But yeah, let's just go into the score for Back in Action. For me, it's
8 out of 10. What a picture.
8 out of 10. What a picture! It's straightforward, funny. I'll continue to watch this. I hope it will get a 4K Blu-ray release because I'm a sucker for 4K. You know.
Yeah, it's starting to get that impression.
I don't even have a 4K TV yet.
Well, you will manifest one, and hopefully.
I'm actually like my money is getting in this Sunday, so.
You'll just have to imagine the 4K.
Well, if Ruben gets a 4K TV, then he's gonna turn into the next Pokemon because he's gonna buy every 4K re-release that comes out.
Nah, I won't do that. I'll just, for a lot of movies, I'll actually just like torrent, you know.
Hey man, you can't say those cursed
Oh,
words.
sorry. I'll open up HBO Max, which 100% is available in the Netherlands. Thank you, Warner Brothers. You wouldn't even let me try and subscribe with a VPN. Well, there goes your money to fund Space Jam 3.
It's so bad when they do that shit too. It's like, hey, here's a new streaming service. Great, it's not available yet in your country. Well, what's the point?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Shout out
Sorry,
to Criterion Channel, where you can try and actually have a account like I have.
Yeah. Nicholas, you want to give it your review, your score?
I think 8 sounds about right. I remember it. I remember as a kid thinking it was about a 9. So my kid score would be 9, and I think probably that's the more important one because you know when you're a kid growing up with these movies, if you get a movie, if you think a movie is like a 9 or a 10 out of 10, that sticks with you for a long while. And this movie was one of those ones that I did because it was one of those ones I would watch like after school. With the people who stayed behind on DVD, and what a fucking strong movie it was. So I had this image of the movie in my head, and I don't really care if that's what it actually is or not, but it sounds like it is, like that is right. And so yeah, I wish it didn't tank. I think it's fucking. It's one of those movies that makes me happy that movies exist.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I guess that's it for
Fucking
this
love the Looney
episode.
Tunes.
Hey, I didn't get to give my score, you jackass.
Oh shit.
No, I mean I'm probably about the same place as you guys are. I'd say about like an 8 out of 10. Like very enjoyable through and through. Largely very effective VFX. Very likable leads and characters. Funny story, good jokes, interesting cameos. And it holds up kind of well because like the thing with Space Jam 2 is a lot of people were saying like, of course you didn't like it. You're not a kid. But watching Back in Action, you know, I'm not a kid now. I didn't watch it when I was a kid. I still enjoyed the hell out of it. So that doesn't matter. Good comedy doesn't really have a strong age barrier. And so yeah, I really enjoyed it.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
Very nice.
Strong. Now let's look forward to Space Jam 3, baby.
Wait,
the director,
can we just imagine for a second what that would look like, Space Jam 3?
Well, the director of the second film, I forgot his name.
Something Dante.
But he had an idea that the third movie would star Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson, and he'd go back to wrestling.
So it would have nothing to do with basketball?
Probably not. Which is weird.
What's the point? I mean, it just seems like an unnecessary
See, I don't
change.
even want Space Jam to. I don't know. The
I just
basketball.
forgot! Why is it called Space Jam? They're not in space! There's no space invaders, they're in the fucking serververse! There's no space involved at all! Fuck!
Well, maybe because if they lose, they have to go. Oh, he disconnected out of anger, I guess.
Here's a thing. I had more fun with the basketball game at the end of Uncut Gems than the 40-minute basketball scene at the end of the second movie.
I had more fun watching the basketball scene in Catwoman than I did in Space Jam 2.
Okay, so thank you all for coming to listen to the Kinocast. Hope you had a good time talking about three a masterpiece of trilogies. I butchered both of those phrases, but
Master Pie.
look forward to next episode, which is drumroll please.
Back to the Future Trilogy.
Back to the Future
Which-
with Mike Wazowski. Starring Mike Wazowski.
I'm very excited to talk about the whole trilogy. Taylor bought the 4K set. He's going Guzman for this. Also, Guzman, if you're listening, we love you. But
There's
Love
only
you, buddy.
one thing I have to say about the Back to the Future movies, and that the best moment is when Michael J. Fox says "Great Scott" and Christopher Lloyd says "Damn, this is heavy."
alright, but yeah, I'm looking forward to it. Back to the Future, the first one, is one of my favorite movies ever made. So
It's a fantastic movie. I wish I could be there for it, but I'll be there in spirit.
Well, thank you very much. You were an excellent guest.
you're a great
Thank
man.
you for having me, man.
So I see you guys all next week.